Hello VC, this is Ron. Thanks for joining me for another video. I made a couple of thrift store finds here in the last few days, so I'm going to show that stuff. I got a couple of albums and I got a nice stack of 45s. So I'm going to start with the albums first. I got Billy Thorpe, Children of the Sun. And this is a 1979 space rock album. And it has the top 40 hit Children of the Sun, which is pretty killer. And I had bought the single back then, but I'd never heard this album before, so that was fun to hear this. It's on Polydor. And it's definitely not a real strong album, but it's pretty good. And it's got artwork by Mouse and Kelly, the famous San Francisco poster artist that did a lot of the psychedelic concert posters in the 60s. And so that was a cool find. I enjoyed hearing that. And then this is Red and Ernie, Red Foley and Ernest Tubb. And this is an original 1956 album on Decca. Pretty clean VG Plus copy. And as you can tell by the cover art, Ernie is lighting Red's guitar on fire and Red is cutting Ernie's strings. So that kind of gives you an indicator that this is going to be a country comedy album, and it is. It's not real heavy comedy, but it's light-hearted comedy. There's a song on here, what is it, Double Datin', and it says, no more double dating because you always get the Georgia peach and I get the shriveled prune. So it's that kind of stuff. And it's kind of a mixture of country western, hillbilly, and there's actually a little R&B sound on it too. But just really good album, man. I'm definitely keeping this. Okay, that does it for the albums, and then I got some 45s to show, so there's going to be an edit. Alright, here's the 45s I got. And as you can see, I got a pretty good stack there. And it was kind of one of those finds where you start, I walked in and there was like a stack of about, had to be at least 100 singles. And I started going through them and I started finding good ones, and then I find a really good one, and then I find a really good one. It's like, then your adrenaline starts pumping, and you know that you got into something. So, man, I haven't had one of those finds in a long time. So I'm going to show these. First one I got, Neon Rainbow by the Box Tops. And the flip side is Everything I Am. The next one I got is Choo Choo Train and Fields of Clover. Here's a solo Cher record from 1965. She's covering Dylan's All I Really Want to Do. But she's actually doing it in the style of the Byrds version. Kind of a folk rock number, and it was marketed as Cher, but actually it's Sonny and Cher, as Sonny does the backing vocals on that. And I'm Gonna Love You Too, Sonny Bono tune is on the flip side. Here's the Mojo Man, Sit Down, I Think I Love You. Buffalo Springfield cover version, and the flip side is Don't Leave Me Crying Like Before. And I actually like this side better than this side. This is just excellent folk rock ballad. I mean, really, really good song. And Mojo Man actually had quite a few 45s on different labels, and you just don't come across them. And I believe that song was originally on the Nuggets compilation from 1972. That's one of the original Nuggets. And then I got Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl, and the flip side is Goodbye Baby. And this is the uncensored version where he says making love in the greeny grass. They censored that off of the album. I don't know if they ever censored any of the singles. So if anybody can tell me if any of the singles have been censored, or if it's all the uncensored versions. Okay, I got some promos too. I got The Seeds, Can't Seem to Make You Mine. And on the flip, As I Tell Myself. And this is a decent VG copy. And it's actually the re-release of Can't Seem to Make You Mine. The original release had Daisy May on the flip side. And yeah, I didn't have that single and a white label promo in my Seeds collection, so that's definitely a welcome addition. And then I got The Damnation of Adam Blessing from the second Damnation. Back to the River, and the flip side is Driver. And this is more straight ahead hard rock. The first album has a little more of a psych vibe to it. The second album, not so much. And that's a real clean condition on that. And then another clean one I got was a white label promo for Hamilton Streetcar. And this is off their album. And I really wish this had been one of their earlier 45s on Lee Hazelwood's label, LHI. Those were more psych. This one's more commercial sounding, but it does have a little bit of fuzz on the flip on Brother Speed. And then I got the only white label promo single from Damien. And both tracks are off of their album, their soul album. And Damien's actually a later Bubble Puppy. And so that was a real cool find. It's more kind of straight ahead hard rock like that second Damnation of Adam Blessing single. Then I got Harper Valley PTA by Jeannie C. Riley. And just classic country, 45 from 69. Born Under a Bad Sign by Albert King, 1967 single. And the flip side is Personal Manager. And this is the version that the Cream kind of copied and did their own version of it. There are a lot of similarities between Albert King's version and Cream's version. Now, I'd never heard this before, so I found that very interesting to hear that. Then I got Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, Sock It To Me Baby. And the flip side is I Never Had It Better. The Ripcords, Hey Little Cobra. Beach Boys styled tune with vocals, and the Queen on the flip side. Then I got Monkeys, I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, great song from them. And the flip side is I'm a Believer, Neil Diamond cover. And this one is on real vinyl. And some of these, you can find these on polystyrene, but this one's real vinyl. Juju Hand by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. Big City Lights on the flip. Alright, I actually got some local Arizona 45s in that pile as well. This is Just Us, and it's a good late 60s sounding pop song, kind of a San Francisco-y sound. Not too much psych going on, just a real good classy song. First I thought it was autographed, but that's just, I think it's just from a friend to a friend inscription on there. It was recorded at Audio Recorders here in Phoenix. And the label is WJ Enterprises, which I think might be Waylon Jennings' label. I'm investigating that at the moment. I'm trying to find out if it is or not. I know somebody who would know. I just need to contact him. But this is just a good pop record. Just a real good sound on that. This is another local one, and it's on Sun Valley, and it's actually from '64, but it sounds more like much earlier, like '40s. Major Hicks and the Mountain Cats. This is sort of a hillbilly record on both sides, and it's really good. Real earthy hillbilly sound on that. I like it. And this one I couldn't believe, man. I needed this record so bad. It's the second Bittersweets local Phoenix release. And I had the first record and I had their third record, which was a national release on Original Sound. But I didn't have their second one, and I got it. It's like, wow, I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, I read that Road to Ran was recorded at Audio Recorders. And the flip side is actually a song that had already been released on their first record, She Treats Me Bad. So evidently they only had one new song, so they just rehashed the B-side. But man, I needed this, and so glad. It's very birdsy, very birdsy. The lead vocals sound a lot like McGuinn. Good record. And then of course they would later become 20th Century Zoo. So now I got all three Bittersweets records. And this one's the best. I saved the best for last. And it's the Krieg, How Can I, on Lance Records out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this was a local release from November of '66. And this is just a really good let me pull the record out. This is just a really good two-sider. And check this out, man. This thing is autographed. I mean, it can't get much better. The writer was Robert Sturckman, if I pronounced it right. And actually Bob Sturckman right there, and then his brother Russ, who was on the... Russ played the drums and Bob rhythm guitar. So it's signed by them right there. And then there's another autograph here. Is Rick Tapp. And that's the same signature. See the way that the P is got the crescent moon top? Well, he did the same thing on the R. So that's the same signature. And then there's another signature here. Ted something Tones. Something like that. And I did some investigation on the internet. There's actually a lot of information about these guys, and these two guys were the founders. These two guys were had to be later members if they were in the band, because the original members were not them. So I'm still trying to find out what's what, but there's one more signature on here. Frank Atkins. And I don't think he was a band member. I think he was the owner of the record, because I got this mailing label on one of the records that I got into that pile. And you can see he lived here in Phoenix. So most likely he was not in the band. He just owned the record. But great two-sider. I mean, they go for a lot of money, and I'm just really pleased with that. So that does it this time around, guys, and Ron's gone.